he doesn't like women and he's kind of sexist.
The fact that he's from Luton, I think, is something that most Lutonians really feel pretty unhappy about.
What I've seen and what I've read, I don't like them.
Proud of Andrew Tate. I'd say, yeah, he represents.
What do you know about Andrew Tate?
Big celebrity, multi-millionaire, former kickboxer from Storm Gym in Luton.
I just know that he doesn't like women and he's kind of sexist and has like these views on women, and people kind of follow him on that.
What do I know about them? All what I've seen on the television and what I've read in the newspapers. What I've seen and what I've read, I don't like them.
Why is that?
Well, because of their view, which is totally different from mine.
I've known a lot of these controversies, and I mean, he had like some good points, but most of the time it was just like not in the right mind. It's just a lot.
What do you think are his good points and what do you think are his bad points?
He was talking about like men and women, mostly about men like being like making the money, and to some extent like I agree, but at the end of the day it's their choice. Do whatever you want.
So I know he's obviously over the last sort of 5 or 6 years been a major sort of voice online on the internet, not a very positive one obviously. He's got a lot of sort of conservative right-wing views on life, and has sort of sadly become a bit of a role model for a lot of young people and young men.
Why do you think he's so popular with young men?
Well, because I think a lot of like the discourse on the internet, I think that it's very much anti-man. Now, I don't agree with everything that Andrew Tate says, but obviously if you have like everyone hating men, the one guy who doesn't hate men and says a few positive things, people are going to ignore the negative things from that. So if there was some more like positive role models for men, then they wouldn't have Andrew Tate, because it wouldn't kind of be necessary kind of thing.
What sort of messages do you think young men are getting from the internet generally and then from Andrew Tate that's different?
Well, like one man committed a rape, therefore all men like are more dangerous than bears or something.
Why do you think he's so appealing to so many young boys?
I think maybe that there's a bit of an issue with a lot of boys not really knowing their place in the world, and it kind of fills that gap for them.
Most of the time it's just like very young men, and he like appears everywhere. He's like very popular, and young men are very like influential. Like they don't really think for themselves. So I generally don't think Andrew Tate is a good example, and I don't think he should be on the internet.
Really?
He's just not a good person, and he changes a lot of boys into a copy of himself, and I don't think it's really good for our society, since we're trying to change.
I think he tells it as it is. I think some people look up to him because of that. He masculinity. He preaches it, so it's, you know, people agree with that.
Do you think he's a good example for men and the type of masculinity?
I think he's a good guide. I wouldn't say it's up to the person, I guess, but I think he's not a bad example. I'd say that.
Really? Why is that? Why do you think?
Tells us it is. It's like it's a role model. He's there. He's not teaching you. He's not preaching bullshit. Obviously, there's occasions where he's talking shit, but the main thing is you understand what he's trying to say.
I think at the moment it's difficult for young people across the world, but especially here, to see a vision for themselves of what's ahead of them. And one of the things that's interesting is, if you look at our parents' generation and people before, they didn't have the complexity of life now. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have social media. Not to say they had an easier time, but there was just a lot less stress and a lot less stuff to be sort of focused on and worried about.
I think it's because they haven't experienced life in a certain way, so they still have a long way to go. So they feel like I think they still have to be molded in a certain way. So having someone so popular saying these things and not being stopped, maybe they will think that that's maybe it's true.
he was in Romania until yesterday, when the White House requested that he would be able to leave. You said that you are Romanian. What do you think Romanians felt about Andrew Tate being detained in their country?
I'm not gonna lie. I think they're not very happy about it, but at the same time, Romania is kind of a like very religious, very like closed, like mind people who are around. Yeah. To some extent, I think they don't agree with him. I don't think they like him a lot. And him leaving, I feel like, is gonna give us like a more like freedom and not a bad name.
What do you think it would be like if Andrew Tate was advising President Trump in the White House?
I think that's a really scary situation.
Well, he's as bad as them, though, isn't he? But then again, you better not put this on the telly because he might find out where I live.
I think it'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if him and Donald Trump had the same perspectives of how things should be. So I think it'll be okay.
Do you think that Luton's proud of Andrew Tate?
Oh, that's a difficult question because I know he's from Luton. I think some men who have similar views to him, they are very proud because, like, look, he's so big, he's so popular. But I think some people who don't have the same views as him, they're not proud of him.
Do you think Andrew Tate makes Luton proud?
Hopefully not. Like I say, I'm born and raised Lutonian. You know, it's my hometown. I love it here. Certainly, Luton has got kind of a reputation. I know that maybe not Andrew Tate, but definitely Musk was doing a lot of stuff about Tommy Robinson, the thing that was pressed about. I think it's trying to push Luton as this sort of repressed, you know, low income town that's got a lot of bad going for it, when I don't think that's really the case. I think there's a lot of positivity coming out of Luton.
Oh, I wouldn't really know. He's from Mars Farm, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, well, I'm not going to slag Mars Farm off, but it is it's not the best place in the world. It's not the best place in Luton, and Luton's not the greatest, but but it's not. It's sort of well known as being not the best of areas.
No, not at all. It's not. It's a stain on the town. But now Luton, like if you look at the BBC Big Weekend that happened last year, there's so much positivity and stuff that's happening in the town. It's just it is in the past, you know, and he should be left there, in my opinion, you know.
No, not at all. You know, the fact that he's from Luton, I think, is something that most Lutonians really feel pretty unhappy about.
Honestly, I'm from Italy, and I came here and I didn't know he was from Luton. Okay. So Luton doesn't really feel like Luton is Andrew Tate. I think Andrew Tate is part of Luton. So they're more proud of football. Yeah. The different cultures that are here, but not Andrew Tate.
Proud of Andrew Tate? Yeah, I mean, I don't speak for Luton as I'm not exactly here, but I'd say, yeah, he represents.